Hey there, it's Derek here from Pacific Coast Auto in Japan, and we're looking at a 2007 Mercedes-Benz S-Class. This one here was 73,000 kilometers on it. It is an auction grade 4.5B, which is pretty much as high as it goes for a car that is 15 years old. This one was bought from auction here in Japan. We're going to be sending it over to Canada. We'll check the condition of it compared to the auction inspection sheet, and then ship it. This one's actually shipping in just 3 days, so we just barely made the cutoff. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn the engine off. It is very, very quiet inside the car. It is an S-Class. These are luxury cars. And this one here is the 3.5 liter, so the smallest engine that you can get in an S-Class for this era. Now you'll notice the check engine light is on. Something like that should be checked in the inspection from the auction. Unfortunately, something like a check engine light can sometimes be intermittent and cannot be shown at the time that it was first inspected. It can come and go, and unfortunately that is the reality here. Now the engine runs perfectly. It doesn't have any weird smells or any weird colors. It seems like it's probably just an engine code. It could be something like an O2 sensor or something like that. Something to check into. Besides that, the car is close to perfect. It has one scratch on the back that either an inspector missed or quite possibly it was scratched after the fact. Now the car goes through inspection, then it sits in the auction lot, and anyone can go into the car and check it while they're going ahead and purchasing it or deciding if they want to. And during that time, the cars can sometimes collect some damage. I'm going to show you that right now just because it is really the biggest area of damage. This scratch right here, and if you touch it, it has the feeling of a newish scratch. So I don't know if it was done at the auction or how long ago it was done, but it doesn't have the smoothness that you get on a scratch after it's been there for a while. The edges are jagged. Okay, so back to this. So the coolant and the oil both look fine. They look like they've been changed at regular intervals. But when the car lands, it's nice to get those changed anyway. The car wasn't driven an awful lot, only 73,000 kilometers. The tires come from 2015 and 2014, which is a little bit strange. They are AMG wheels that you can see on there. And we have 2014s and 2015s. They're also a different make. These are Nitto, and these are Goodyear. So kind of a little bit of a strange thing there. Probably need to change both tires. The ones on the front are bald, and the ones on the back are cracked. Okay, so let's go over the auction inspection sheet here, and I'll just quickly translate this. It's a 2007 Mercedes-Benz S350 luxury package. Auction grade 4.5, interior B with sunroof, power steering, power windows, Navi, and leather. I believe the Navi can be reprogrammed to be in English, but I'm not sure if you can still use it outside of Japan, if it works properly with the satellites and whatnot, map data, that sort of thing. Check on the internet. People on the internet are smart about that. Its original black still had current registration on it, so the last time it was mechanically inspected was, let's see, this is 2023, so it would have been 2021 April when it was last inspected. Okay, purchased from user, left-hand drive. Yes, we are in Japan, which is a right-hand drive country, but this is left-hand drive. Many of the higher-end or sporty German cars can come in both or just in left-hand drive here in Japan. Sunroof, black leather seats. The notes here say original Navi, rear camera, toll collection box, aftermarket front and rear bumpers, aftermarket exhaust tips, aftermarket headlights, aftermarket 20-inch wheels. They are AMG wheels, and they're in good condition, and some other aftermarket parts, which I didn't find, unless you want to count the windshield wipers. Are those aftermarket or original? I don't know. Okay, report here. Seat wrinkled, and it's really not that bad. It's a leather seat. They naturally will get a few wrinkles in them from regular use. Interior one part dirty or slightly dirty is what the meaning really is. Small scratches, small dents, and wheels scratched. Okay, the body here is A1, A1, AU1, A1, so these are all very minor areas of damage. In fact, there's really only one other area, like the AU1 here. You can see the dent because it's right on the seam, right here. Or right on the place where the metal bends, so it stands out a little bit more. The paint condition is good, and there really aren't any other scratches or dents that are worth mentioning there. So let's take you once around it so that you can see it. This S-Class was the final S-Class before I moved to Japan in 2006. This was a new car back then, and at that time, I got most of my car information from magazines instead of the internet. It seems so weird to be waiting for a magazine to get your new car information nowadays, where you can get stuff on the same day as the auto shows on the internet. And I remember them saying that this looks too much like the 7 Series. Many of the automotive journalists said that. And I thought, I don't know, I couldn't see the resemblance. I mean, they're both large luxury sedans, and so there's only so much you can get away with in styling, but I don't know, I like them both. I feel like the S-Class of this generation is the better car compared to the 7 Series, but they're both good cars. A lot of tech is in the car, and that's probably one of the main things that you need to think about before you buy this car. It's got a lot of buttons, a lot of features, that sort of thing. And those things can go wrong, and they do from time to time. So you're looking at a little bit of a riskier car when you go with a Mercedes-Benz S-Class. The good news, though, is that the price for these is but a fraction of what they originally cost, and you still get a lot of great car for your money. Especially here in Japan, the value of luxury cars falls off quickly. Sorry for being dirty, it does get washed before it ships, but it doesn't really show up clean either. So, of course, wholesale buying, shipping in vessels, yada yada. Anyways, yes, an S-Class, you can import them into Canada cheaper than they cost in Canada, and you have a whole bunch of good condition ones that are low mileage. This one here I would consider for Japanese standards a little bit on the higher mileage. But in Canada, where this one's going, 73,000 kilometers is rather low. And a lot of them, I mean, Canada, the USA, the cars that are 15 years old are very commonly, you know, in terms of kilometers, 150,000, 200,000 kilometers. And if you want an S-Class, there's more that can go wrong in that 200,000 kilometers than in 73,000 kilometers. And then there's body and rust and that sort of thing. The higher mileage, the more likely it is to have corrosion on it, or to get corrosion sometime soon. So you can usually get a good, well-maintained, every 2 years it's inspected here in Japan, low mileage car for a lower price. So that's why we're in business. The suspension right now is on the low setting. It is air suspension, so you can change it. I'll actually, looking at it here, it does look a little bit low, and just for shipping purposes, I'll change that over to high suspension setting. In fact, I'll set that now and then turn the engine back on again, because the engine needs to be on for the air pump to work. Okay, suspension up mode. And then there's parking sensor, and I don't know what this does. And yeah, then there's a computer here to do a whole bunch of other stuff. So I am not an S-Class driver, and I don't know how to do all of that stuff. I'm sure I could figure it out, but I don't know. The doors are weird. Maybe you've never noticed this before, but the doors have dampers. You know how in a regular door, when you open it, it'll go like bump, 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 so that you can open it to different widths while still preventing the gravity from closing the door on you. These ones have air dampers instead, so you pull them out to exactly what you want and you leave it there, and then it holds it at where you want it. It feels a little bit different. The 7 Series has the same type of thing in it as well. You can see the air damper right here. But those air dampers can die, so do think about that if you're having troubles with doors that keep hitting you in the rear end. The wood on this, all good condition. We're not ready to go for the interior yet, are we? I guess we are. The exterior doesn't really have any damage. Okay, so power seats all work. Heated seats I didn't test. The wood is all good condition. You can actually see a seam here in the wood, which I guess is kind of like a cost-cutting measure, because you don't have to use as big of pieces of wood. The older ones didn't have that, but I guess the newer ones do. It's not that big of a distraction. It is real wood. They do still crack, even though this is a newer car. And so this one looks good and isn't cracked. Scuff plate here has scuffs on it. Who would have thought? Some Japanese people leave the protective plastic on there. It's quite common here. Steering wheel, no cracks. It's half leather and wood. Seats in this are comfy. I think there are 2 different versions of the seats for the S-Class, whether you get the luxury package or the sports package or whatever the other package is. These ones here are quite comfy. They're made out of leather. Remember, they said seat wrinkles. As you can see, not much. And you'll see that on basically every auction sheet here in Japan for a car that has leather seats. You have a center console that can open 2 different ways. There's the top way like this. That's your phone goes into there. Old school. Or the bottom can open like that for a deeper one. Okay. Controls for headrests. Let's see if we can push those headrests down. I thought that's what this one here does, but it could be wrong. I don't know. Oh, there's a keypad in there. Neat. An on button for something? I don't know. Look at me review this car and I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm pressing stuff and stuff's happening, but I don't know. We buy and export cars. I don't know about S-Class stuff. Luxury is not my game. I did have a 5 Series. I liked it quite a bit, but still a modern, or this one being much more modern than my 5 Series was. A lot more things to go through. The analog clock is a nice touch. The AC, of course, works. Power steering is good. The car dynamically feels great to drive. It's very different. This is, I guess, the beginnings of what I consider a modern driving car. The chassis is nice and tight, and the way that the steering feels makes the car feel nimble. And this is something that we first saw with Mercedes-Benz and BMW cars. I think it has something to do with the caster in the front, but as soon as you turn in, you can feel the car darting in, and it's very unique compared to Japanese cars. You basically see it on all cars nowadays. But it was around this time, the mid-2000s, when that seems to be something that started becoming popular. Okay, back seats. I wonder if this is an option or if this is on all of them, but there are ashtrays here. This is about the time where ashtrays stopped being put into the cars. I don't know how any of this works again. I would figure that this is some sort of a curtain that you could put up, but it may be disabled from the front menu because it doesn't seem to be working. Okay, back seats. Of course, plenty of room. There are cars with more leg room, especially minivans and SUVs and stuff, but this is an appropriate amount of room that doesn't make you feel cramped. It looks like we don't have heated seats back here, which may be available on some models. This here is all in good condition. The interior of the car has no bad smells. Okay, you get your own mirror, which is cool. You want to pick something out of your teeth, go ahead. And your passenger can do it at the same time because they got their own mirror. AC vents. Quick look at the front. Okay, now you still see this model of S-Class on the streets quite often here in Japan. You still see a lot. There are, at least in my area, a ton of German vehicles here. It is ridiculous, especially with how quickly they fall in value. Okay, for a sedan, it's a nice large trunk. You can definitely fit the luggage of 4 people in here. It looks like it has a little net here that has been broken off. Should be attached here, but it has snapped. Unfortunate. If it were my car, I'd just take it off. You don't really need 2 of them anyway. Okay, so that is that. This is the second to last car that I'm going to shoot at the port after the holidays. We sent all the cars to the port instead of to our lot because nobody was there to receive them. And I guess you can see the height of it while it is in the high suspension. That looks about stock now. And so it might have some sort of aftermarket controlling for the system. And it looks like the tire has touched the fender and pulled it down a little bit. You can very easily curl that back up. But maybe get a shop to do it for you to make sure you don't accidentally crack the paint. Okay, that's going to be everything for this one. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. And have a nice day.